This is Meet a Tree, Elf Center 3, from the Year of Cycles. In this center, as always, the outline is taped to the top of the box. The supplies in this center are some clipboards and magnifying glasses and pencils. There's a book you can use if you would like a reference or added material. And then there are 2 packets of information. One is the Look and Find cards, which are all these cards. There's a bunch of different ones. And then more Meet a Tree activities that go with older grades. This center is all about exploring the variety of trees in a nearby area, which means you're going to end up going outside. The activities are divided into 2 age groups. There's activities for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and maybe 3rd grade, and then there's activities for 4th grade and maybe 3rd grade. So it just depends what you're willing to do and take on and challenge the kids and yourself with. So the activities for K1, 2, 3 include the Look and Find activity. So the Look and Find activity involves going outside and looking for and handing the kids these cards and trying to do these tasks. So these cards all say things like a tree with birds, a tree with changing leaves, a soft part of a tree with insects, a tree you can't reach around, and there's a whole variety of different cards. You'll give each kid a different card and ask them to go find those trees, or maybe you go find them as a group. You can organize that in which way you think is best. And included with that are a checklist that says trees, look and find. And on this checklist, it has a bunch of the things that are on the cards, like the tree that's the biggest around, tree seeds, a dead tree with a mushroom on it, a smell from a tree. Believe it or not, some trees smell like butterscotch. If you go, I think it's it's a pine tree. I forget which one. Ponderosa pine, I believe. And so on and so forth. And so you could Xerox this and give each kid half. This is the same thing twice. So give each kid one of these, include it with their card, and have them go off and find those. You could do it as a group. Here's another one to do as a group. It's the same thing, just a different format. And then for the older grades 3 and 4, as you're exploring the trees, you could do these cards if you wanted to, but you would definitely want to do these Meet a Tree questionnaires. And one says grades 3, 4, and the other says 5, 6. I think you could use either of these with grades 3 and 4 probably, and you have the same benefits, same information. And then also included is an activity where you could have the kids choose. If you choose to do this activity, you would Xerox this, and the kids make a drawing of a leaf, a twig, or fruit, or a seed, and the outline of a leaf. And then maybe on the back you could do something like have them try to draw a whole tree. Just if you're in that kind of artsy kind of mode, that's just an option. So that's the seek and look and find part. Then there's a measurement activity, and that activity is more geared towards 3rd and 4th graders. And in your outline, it talks about that the kids are going to experiment with various ways to measure the height of trees. So the artist method is where one child stands next to a tree and another child stands far away from the tree and holds a pencil out at arm's length. I had a pencil out. So that's why you have the pencils. So you'd hold the pencil out at arm's length and use that pencil. If I'm looking at a kid and I'm at arm's length, and let's say that their height is from my fingers to the top of that eraser. So that's how tall the kid is. Well, if I take that height and I go up the tree, that will tell me, this will measure, let's pretend the kid's 3 feet tall. Well, if this equals 3 feet and I go up the tree 5 times, then my tree is 15 feet tall. And luckily, there are really great illustrations of those directions in the handout. The next method is the triangulation method. And the triangulation method has you use yardsticks, which will be in the ELF closet, and you measure a tree shadow and divide it by the yardstick shadow's length, and you find out the tree's height. And there's directions for how to measure the yardstick shadow. Sadly, it's a very dreary day outside, so no shadows today. But if you follow these directions and carefully read over the directions in the outline, you should be able to do this. This one is a little more challenging than the artist method, but kind of intriguing and fun to get to do. And then the last one is measuring the circumference and the age of the tree. And this talks about all kinds of fancy art terms, and you might not necessarily choose to do this whole activity, but you could talk about it and what it would look like. And in this folder there are measurement tapes to help measure your tree and things like that. So this measurement tape also has information, the same information that's on this poster, how to do that. And then on the back there are some really cool facts. Like, for instance, the reason it's important to know the diameter of a tree is the diameter of a tree in inches equals, it can equal out to US dollars. So the basic values, it says, are established at $22 per square inch cross section of the trunk. And so, for instance, a tree whose diameter was 12 inches would cost $2,488 to replace. So when people are valuing a forest or a park, or like when there's disease that comes through and they want to figure out how much they lost in their town because of, like, for instance, the emerald ash borer, that's how they measure. And these are about these calculations are about 4 years old, but it's still the same idea. So in summary for this one, with the older kids, you are going through these different methods of measuring that are more mathematical and scientific, and bring a different dimension into ELF. If you have any questions, you can email us at mitchellelf@gmail.com.